Hi, this is Abul Hussein coming to you live and direct from London, the United Kingdom. And I have a very special guest who is joining me today from Adelaide in Australia. Now, if you are watching this video outside of our social media marketing agency mastermind group, make sure you join us on smmamastermind.com. Now, without a further ado, I want to introduce you to Pete Devkota. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us, because I know it's 9:30 p.m. in Australia and it's just turned 1 p.m. here in London. So could you just give us a bit of an intro about what you do and your agency and how you are helping your clients grow their businesses?
So basically, I run an e-commerce email marketing agency. It's called Email Optimize, and we work with e-commerce store owners that probably are sitting in a gold mine, but they don't understand how valuable it is, right? Now, with social media, with Facebook, with Twitter, with YouTube, Snapchat, Pinterest, all these new channels of marketing that are cropping up almost every single year, people have been grossly underusing email marketing, right? So, and one of the main reasons why they don't use it properly is because it's not sexy, right? It's not as glamorous, right? So people tend to overshadow it. But what the bigger brands have realized is not only is email something to use, but it is one of the cornerstones of an e-commerce store, right? Because with email, you actually own the data, right? So when you have an email list that you have curated over time, that has filtered subscribers and buyers, it's like you can print money on almost demand. Anytime you need to make an offer, anytime you need to get some extra cash flow going on in your business, you send out a couple of emails and you just sit and wait and watch as the money comes in.
Right.
So that's what we've been doing.
No, that's absolutely awesome, because I mean, you have a lot of people who talk about email and it is an overlooked channel, and some people say email is dead, and so they look at paid advertising and doing a lot of other outreach, and they don't look at something that is sitting right underneath their noses. So kind of give us a couple of examples of the different niches you've worked in the e-commerce space, and what would you say has been your most successful email campaign?
So I've worked with literally way too many niches to even point out, because I've worked with over 250 stores in the past couple of years, and in that time frame we have helped either write emails for or create strategies for over $35 million for our clients, purely through email marketing. And wow. Just last year we crossed about 15 million in revenue for our clients with email, and a couple of brands were touching between 1.5 to 2.5 million from email, just purely from email marketing, right? So it does take time to kind of establish, right? And it's not going to work for everyone, because email works for businesses that respect their customers, that value their customers, right? If you are there to make a quick buck, if you don't invest in selling the right products, if you don't invest in setting up the proper customer support channels, if you don't invest in fast shipping, right? If you don't invest in creating a good experience for your clients or your customers, then they're not going to come back to you again, right? But if you play your cards right, and if you do deliver, the quality products that you have advertised, right? As long as the quality is matching to what your advertising is saying, as long as the customers don't feel cheated, but actually when they open and when they use the product that you're selling and they go, wow, I actually love this, then what you've done is you have acquired a customer at either break even or at a small profit, and any subsequent promotions or any subsequent purchases that you manage to make from these customers, your profits are going to be exponential. Because with any e-commerce store, media buying accounts for between 30 to 60% or higher of their total expenses, right? So essentially, second time purchases and any purchases after, you have a massive, massive profit margin. So when it comes to our best results, we have had particularly great results in the canvas and the metal art niche. Collectively in that niche, we've probably generated over $8 million in the past 2 years. So that's been a really, really lucrative niche for us. But regardless of any niche, as long as you, like I said, as long as you're running a solid business and you're already making profits, then email's the cherry on top.
No, that's that sounds great, and you're doing some amazing numbers with some of your campaigns. So I want you to go into a bit of the secrets. What are the core components of a successful email?
So basically, the way that I look at email is fundamentally different than what most people, what most agencies will probably promote, right? So for me, email is the sole purpose of an email is to extract a click from your database and send that click, right, from database to your checkout page or your landing page. Because you can control your checkout page, right? You can control your landing page. You can control the numbers. You can do a lot of testing, right? And when you send, like say for example, you got a store conversion rate or a checkout conversion rate of 1%, right? If I'm sending 1,000 clicks to a store with a store conversion of 1% and an AOV of $10, right? I'm going to make crickets. I'm not going to make much money at all. But if I send the same 1,000 clicks to a store that's got a 10% conversion rate and an average order value of $150, then I'm going to make some substantial revenue, right? So what e-commerce store owners should be thinking about is how can they improve the average order value of their customers? How can they improve the conversion rate of their websites or their product page or their checkout page, right? And how can they, what can they be doing differently to reduce friction in the consumer buying process? Because whenever someone makes a purchase, be it you, me, or anyone else, we have a number of micro decisions that we make internally, right? And a lot of it is almost self-validation. Do I need this? Is this too much? Is this something that I can afford? Do I actually have a want for this or a need for this? What's my wife or what's my husband going to say? Is this an expense that we can, kind of justify? So all of these micro decisions are there, right? So as a vendor, your purpose is to remove those micro decisions and to remove the friction in those micro decisions and make the decision-making process a lot more seamless, right? And what email does is it helps to chop off those friction one by one.
Right. So you're talking more, you're talking beyond design, because when a lot of people think about emails, they think about a good layout and having pretty pictures, but it's more about...
That's the least thing on my mind. Right? I don't really care about designs, because if you send beautifully designed emails, right, but it lands in someone's spam folder, a promotional folder, or junk folder, what's the purpose, right? I want emails that I send, to be opened, right, by the intended reader. I want them to read what's in that email, and I want them to take an action, right? And that's the only purpose of that email, nothing else. And that's all I go after, right? I don't care about whether an email is pretty looking or whether it's beautiful. You look at all the top people in the world that are making millions of dollars, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars with email. And you can find that the majority of them are using plain text emails with one link and one CTA, right? You go to any top internet marketer and you look at the emails, right? And you come back to me and you tell me if one of them uses a fancy HTML email.
No, probably not.
Right. So the problem is these e-commerce stores that are doing under 20 mil a year, they think that all of a sudden they're Adidas and they're Nike, right? And they're Lululemon and all these big multi-million, multi-billion dollar companies. And they think, oh, you know what? We need to use email as a branding channel. That's wrong. You use Facebook and you use other cheaper forms of marketing to raise that awareness and to brand yourself, right? Email is the closer. Why? Because email has got that established trust. So you close with email.
Oh, that's perfect. I've never thought of it that way.
Not many people think of it this way. And
No,
that's the key to our success.
yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's a great tip there. And in terms of people who have a customer database, but they've not emailed them consistently, and they feel like their list is dead, what tips do you have for someone who is looking to maybe reactivate a dead list?
So go purchase a software such as Klaviyo, right? Upload all your customers into that software, right? Then export that CLV, put it into a Facebook retargeting campaign, and retarget the hell out of those people, right? Basically, retargeting ads are the cheapest form of advertising that you can get, right? If someone has already purchased from you before, but now you're not on top of mind, so what you do is you follow them all over the internet with retargeting ads, and you get them to re-opt in. So now you've converted a dead list and you've made it into an active list, because you have already created a sequence of emails, right? So as soon as they opt in, they get their welcome email, they get their abandoned cart emails, the browse abandoned emails, and all these emails that you've already set up, right? And these people weren't top of mind before, but what you've done is you've used the data that they have given to you. You've used the concept that they've given to you. You're using existing tools that are on the market, and you're getting top of mind again.
Right. No, that's such a stealth tactic there that someone could go out and implement straight away. And no, thank
Exactly.
you for sharing that with us. You touched upon Klaviyo. So, I mean, the next question really for you is, people are always talking about what is the best email service provider for deliverability. Some people are talking about MailChimp, others are talking about ActiveCampaign, Aweber, GetResponse. So in your experience, I'm sure you've been through multiple platforms, which one do you feel like has the best deliverability or functionality for getting or driving sales?
So, I'm biased, right? Because I've been using this particular software for a long amount of time. But the reason that I use it is because out of all the other softwares that I've tested, this one has helped get the best results for my clients, right? And I'm very much client focused. So whatever gets the best results, I stick with that. Right now, as of today, if you run an e-commerce store, there is no better email marketing software than Klaviyo, right? Hands down. Not only because of the deliverability, but because of the easy segmentation features. Because it's got a dashboard that allows you to see not only your open rates and your click rates, but also how much revenue that you have made, right? But because of its easy integration with Shopify, with Facebook, with multiple other apps, right, and widgets, they were designed from the ground up, specifically for e-commerce stores, right? If you are going to treat e-commerce as a business and not a hobby, then I say purchase Klaviyo, hire an agency once you get to a certain threshold, like 50, 60,000 a month or more. If you're not treating it as a business and if it's a hobby, then you can go to MailChimp, right? They're going to do the job just fine. But like I said, it's a hobby, it's not a business. So I have to give a genuine answer. Now, I've got nothing with ActiveCampaign and all these others, right? But for me personally, I find them too clunky to use. Right. Like we send hundreds of millions of emails per year across our clients. So for us, we look at speed of use. We look at how easy it is to train our staff. We look at how easy it is to get reporting, how responsive the customer service team at Klaviyo or any other email service providers are, what the deliverability is like, how we can segment this. And right now, like I said, as of today, Klaviyo is the best by a long, long distance. Is that going to change in the future? Who knows, right? But if you treat e-com as a business, then my strong opinion is go with Klaviyo because they are simply the best.
Right. Okay, and that's a very strong recommendation there. I don't think anything can beat that. So in terms of when you are sending out your emails and hopefully doing some sort of A/B tests, what do you guys test out?
So we test out times, right? Sending times. We test out subject lines. We test out the to and from, which is the sending like, sending the, like, name, right?
From
We
names,
test out, we test out sending emails, right? So is it info at what company name? Is it support at company name? All of these things. We test out characters, we test out emojis, we test out HTML versus high density HTML versus low density HTML versus plain text emails. We test out multiple CTAs in the email versus one CTA. We test out colors, buttons. The split testing is endless, right? But because we have done a lot of split testing initially in the past, right? We now have certain KPIs that we want our emails to meet, right? So the testing is done if those KPIs aren't met, because we already have that data in-house. We know what works, right? We've done that bulk of testing, like, through all those millions of dollars that we've made for our clients. We know what is working in email right now, right? So if you don't have access to that knowledge, then test all these things, right? Because the most important thing is improve your CTR, improve your store conversion rate. Because if your email is getting delivered, right? If you're getting high opens, high click-throughs, but you're sending it to a very, very low converting offer, right? With a very, very low average order value, then you're not going to make much money with email, right? And just because you got a low converting winner doesn't mean that you can test out or launch new products with a high AOV to that list, right? You have to do what's best for your business. You have to look at it in terms of, what can I do that's going to add the maximum profits to my bottom line, and also provide a great experience for the customer. Because I'm not impressed with stores that say, oh, we did $20 million in sales this year, right? What impresses me most is what was the bottom line, right? Yeah. Because if you're running a business, it's got to be profitable. Unless there's some other weird reason why you're running a business, right? Like, you got to have a gameplay as to why you're doing it.
That makes perfect sense. So we've spoken a lot about email. Let's talk a bit more about your actual agency. So, I mean, how long has your agency been running for right now? And has email been your pure focus from the beginning, or have you tried like Facebook ads and all of these other different things out there?
So I've been in direct response and copywriting. I didn't even know it was copywriting when I was involved in it for about 15 years now. Or probably more. My mum, she is a professor at uni and she teaches sociology. So when I was a young kid, I grew up reading the books of Sigmund Freud and, like, all these psychologists. I was always intrigued by what made people tick, right? What motivates people, what demotivates people, why do people do certain things, what triggers people, right? And I was always inclined and captivated by advertising. I didn't know what copywriting was at that stage, but I spent a lot of time going through all the advertising in newspapers and magazines and prints, right? Since about 2015, I started diving deeper into becoming a writer, right? And I discovered that the writers don't make that much money, right? Unless you're a best-selling writer. And here's the thing. It's not how well the book is written, it's how well it's advertised and how much it sells, right? So marketing and sales play a huge role in this. So then I started thinking, okay, how can I, enter this world of marketing and advertising and copywriting? And I started my journey back then. Since then, I've been mentored by a lot of top-level copywriters, and I still feel I know nothing, right? There's so much to learn. After that, I joined an agency. I worked as head email marketing strategist there for a couple of years, and then I left and started my own, which was in 2017 or end of 2017, something similar to that. And this agency has been running ever since then.
Right, brilliant. And, a lot of people who are beginning their agency journeys, right, getting clients is a big issue for them. So, I mean, what are your favorite ways to get clients? And when you started out, how were you picking up your initial clients?
So here's the thing. Everyone wants clients, but no one's willing to work for them, right? You get paid or you make money according to the amount of value that you're providing to the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's listening to this and you're stuck for clients, just know that you haven't added enough value into other people's lives for them to sit up and take notice, right? Everyone's pitching, but less people are providing value. And value is a very ambiguous term itself, right? Like, we got a rock solid guarantee that if someone's working with us and if we don't deliver at least a 5 to 10x return on investment within 90 to 120 days, we give 100% money back, no questions asked, right? Or we work for them until we actually deliver that ROI. That's a strong, strong, strong statement, right? And the reason that we can do that is because we want the clients to win. We're very client-centric, right? And when you start making decisions based on those type of, like, almost guidelines or pointers, right? The decisions that you make, they start becoming different to the decisions that you would make if you're only chasing money. So when you are chasing value, when you are chasing providing the greatest return on investment to the clients, then you start getting better results because you're not focusing on yourself, you're focusing on others, right? And you do things in such a way to make others a lot more than whatever they invest in you. And when that happens, your results start to compound. And when your results start to compound, people start chasing you to start working with you because they want similar results, right? So everyone starts from nothing. When I started, my first client, he fired me, right? After 15 days, right? And the reason that he fired me was because I couldn't get any results, right? And it's justified. And I gave him a refund. And the reason is I didn't do my research properly and I took on the wrong client, right? I took on a client that I could never, ever, ever get any results for. Why? Because the domain had been flagged, it had been blacklisted. So every email that we sent, it got sent to spam, right? So when all the emails that you're sending get sent to spam, you can't make much money, can you? Right? Painful lesson learned, right? The second client, I started I did everything that I possibly could, right? And I blew them out of the water. Started getting results that they never ever imagined possible. Third client, similar, right? Started asking for referrals. People started noticing, right? And people wanted to get those results, right? Now because you're not focusing on yourself, you're focusing on results, you're focusing on others, right? You start becoming attractive to your potential clients. And if you surround yourself, or if you put yourself in an environment where your potential clients are actually have the opportunity to look at you and your work, then you start getting more leads than you can handle. Build relationships, right? Because money exchanges hands based on relationships, trust, and rapport. If it's crazy how people can think that they can fire off a Facebook ad, get people to run through a sequence, and everyone's going to convert. That's not the way, right? You gotta establish relationships because relationships are truly what matter. So focus on building relationships. Focus on providing value. Focus on being client-centric. Focus on giving a far better return on investment than whatever the client outlays on you, right? Focus on being an asset versus a liability. Focus on the long-term picture, right? Because if you're not in the game, if you're not playing the game and you're not going to be playing it for at least 10, 20, 30 years, right? And your objective is not is anything short of being the best in the business, then you got to have a hard, long, reflective look at yourself and ask yourself, are you in internet marketing to make a quick buck? Because there's a lot of ways to make money, or are you in it because you enjoy actually doing what you do? You got to love what you're doing. Otherwise you won't be able to sustain both the highs as well as the lows, right? Like a business is going to have its highs and lows. So you got to enjoy that as well. And you got to take it in your stride, because you can't ever be extremely happy just because you've hit a high. There's a low that's coming up ahead, right? And you can't beat yourself up and be depressed or sad or lonely because you're at a low, right? You just got to buckle up, stand up again, and give it your best shot, because the next high is on the way as well. So yeah, it's a process and it's a journey, and you just got to enjoy it.
That's such a brilliant response, and you've answered multiple questions in one go. Pete, you've been very generous with your time, and I know your day is just starting because you're going to get on with your client work. Thank you very much for joining us. And if anybody is watching here and they want a bit more advice, or they need an agency who can help them can help you rather with your email marketing, look up Pete on Facebook. What's your agency called? I don't think we've covered that, Pete.
It's called Email Optimize. So it's EMAIL OPTIMIZE. If you type it in, you'll probably, now this is different to a lot of websites. You actually need to opt in to get a case study. There's nothing on the website.
All right. Okay. Perfect. But you can you can find Pete. I'm going to tag him to the video. So Pete, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we'll catch up again very soon.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great being here.